Next topic is WSI overview. So here we can actually talk about the WSI organization and what WSI profile is all about and things like that. So you probably have heard the term WSI basic profile, right? So what is it? That's basically the goal of this presentation. We don't have a lab on this presentation, so we're gonna just talk about the what WSI basic profile is all about. So what is and why not WSI? So WSI is industry effort. It's actually, it's probably not as important as it used to be. Okay, the many years ago, I think year 2004, maybe almost 10 years ago, the specification, especially SOAP WSDL, kind of loosely defined. So there are a lot of implementation from different vendors, especially from Microsoft and from Java community. Interoperability was a problem because interpretation of the spec was sometimes the spec was kind of vague. So the different implementations of the same spec result in non-interpretable web services implementation. So that was actually an issue the community actually take on. So they actually created the organization called the WSI. So it's an industry effort chartered to promote web services interoperability across platforms, applications, and programming languages. So basically, this organization brings together a diverse community of web services leaders to provide the guidance and recommended practices and support resources, mainly to make sure the implementations from different vendors are in fact interoperable, especially from the Microsoft and Java communities. WSI is not a standard organization, so it doesn't produce any specification. Basically, what the charter of WSI was to create what is called the profile. Profiling is basically to provide a clarification of the interpretation of the specs. Okay, so it basically profiles existing specification rather than creating a brand new specifications. So the reason, as I said before, WSI was created is because of the challenges of web service interoperability at the time. So these issues are mostly addressed these days. So you are relatively assured your implementations of your web services client should be able to communicate with web services server deployed over .NET platform and vice versa. Okay. But at the time, about 10 years ago, when web services actually kind of emerging, these interoperability issues were in fact real. Okay, so these used to be the challenges. The standard deals with a specific problem. Customer solutions utilize multiple standards, infinite ways to interpret the standards. So this was the vagueness of the standards, especially SOAP, WSDL, and kind of things. So customers have multi-vendor environment, so interoperability was a big problem at the time. So WSI is actually basically creating a profile and the sample application and the testing tools. So they actually work on these things to promote interoperability. Okay. So we're going to actually mostly focus on the concept of profile. So what is a profile? Profile is a named set of web service specification it constrains. So it will constrain the existing specifications so that it provides constraints and guidance in terms of how it's supposed to be implemented. Okay. So again, it's actually providing constraints and guidance on existing spec rather than creating a brand new spec. So the philosophy of the profile, so it does not address specific application semantics. Of course, it does not deal with the application semantics. That makes sense. Focus on testable requirements. So they provide the testing tools to make sure a particular vendor's web services implementation, in fact, meets basic profile. Okay, so pretty much all the vendors out there, they all provide their implementations are tested against basic profile. So that means that particular vendor implementation should be interoperable with other vendors' web services implementation. So it's testable requirements and that makes a strong requirements. So these are not that much important to understand. So never relaxes requirements. So what it means is that it does not relaxes what has been said in the spec. It only constrains it. Okay, that makes sense, right? And in sometimes it chooses between multiple mechanisms. So if there are multiple mechanisms to implement a certain spec, it actually choose one so that everybody can actually interoperate with a particular chosen mechanism. Preserve backward compatibility focuses on again interoperability. Okay, and conformance of measurable targets. So it's just kind of the as long as you understand the basic concepts of basic profile, that's good enough. Profile general format. So if you take a look at the basic profile documentation, it states it references the section of underlying specification. It actually specifies this is the web services specification we are constraining or we are providing guidance, and then it has a bunch of the guidelines. In terms of, I think it's called the rules. So it has a bunch of rules, and each rule is specified with a statement and requirements and rationale and some cases examples. All right, so WSI organization is actually, so organization structure is not that much important, but just to emphasize that they also have a security profile as well. So basic profile 1.0a, and so it does constrain SOAP specification and WSDL specification and UDDI specification and security. So UDDI is rarely used, so it's not a big deal anymore. But SOAP and WSDL, they are still being used. So the whatever vendor implementation they should follow, they should be compliant with the WSI basic profile. So when we do the exercise of SOAP UI on day 2, SOAP UI actually has a way of checking whether your WSDL document is compliant with the basic profile. That was one of the exercises we've done, right? So that's basically what we are doing here. So in SOAP and WSDL, they actually define several rules relevant to XML representation of SOAP messages and SOAP processing model and use of HTTP with SOAP. In terms of WSDL, they talk about document structure, types, messages, port type, and binding, and things like that. So one of the things I think we talked about was the message definition in your WSDL document has to point an element rather than a type. Okay. So WSDL lets you, WSDL document itself says that message element can point to either element or type, but WSI basic profile says no, you have to actually use an element. You have to actually point an element rather than type. Okay, so that is constraining how a message is supposed to be defined. All right, so so as I said before, basic profile 1.0 actually defines several the requirements or rules. 48 of them are relevant to SOAP. 84 rules are relevant to WSDL. 8 are relevant to UDDI, and 6 are relevant to security aspect. The basic profile 1.1 has new requirements and removed some requirements, and it adds support attachment, so with attachment aspect to basic profile 1.0. Okay, and and attachment profile 1.0 is actually introduced as part of basic profile 1.1. And security profile is also introduced. Okay, so basically it says all the web services implementation should support SOAP message security spec called the WS security. Okay, so we can actually talk about this security later on. All right, so that is the end of the presentation. So just to give you a sense of what WS